Alright, hey, what's up everyone? Cardboard.Capitan here, and I'm mixing it up with the content. As you may know, Aetherdrift is coming out February 14th, which is Friday here, and I want to do a little spoiler review of what I think the 10 best cards that will affect Alchemy are. Now, these are my guesses based on their power level, the current popular decks of the format, so I'm not going to be a prophet or anything. This is just what I'm doing with the data. With that said, I want to do about 30 seconds on each card. I know you can't see the timer I have, but trust me, it's there. So enough yapping. Let's get to the content. Okay, so my first card is Ancient Vendetta, and it's an exile, much like Unmoored Ego or Necromentia without a downside. And I think this is a great sideboard card for combo breaking. I'm thinking of the Calamity decks, especially because once you can get rid of that Calamity, that one-turn kill, they become a mid-range deck, which is much more manageable without that one-turn kill. Okay, next card. Voyager Glide card. I think this is a great turn 1 artifact. Great with survivors because they get their special effect so long as they're tapped, and crewing a vehicle requires them to be tapped. So there's a bunch of turn 2 survivors like Improvising Aerialist and Reluctant Role Model that are great turn 2 plays, but normally they wouldn't be able to have their effect until turn 3. Okay, next card. District Mascot. Who's riding this doggo? Like, that's a tiny little corgi. It's just a creature that grows and can destroy artifacts. None too special. But, it's a nice change from Yana War Elves if you're trying to play a more aggressive style deck. I don't know if there's any popular artifacts that are going to show up in Aetherdrift, but we'll see. Okay, next card. Gastel Thrill Roller. Now, this is very much like the 3/3. When you deal damage to it, you can shut off life gain. I forget the name of the card, but it has haste, it has trample, it goes fast, it does damage, so it's hard to remove before it gets its value. Plus, you can also bring it back from the graveyard with a finality counter. Great creature if you're trying to just go to face real fast. Next card. Bloodghast. Oh my gosh. Okay. Similar idea to the Thrill Roller, except it doesn't get haste unless an opponent has 10 or less life. While I expect the Self-Mill archetype to be much more popular, you can put this in plenty of decks. The only downside, vampires. I don't see a lot of vampires in the format. There is a card that does work with vampires, but I don't know if that's enough to use it with this. Okay, next card. Treasure's Insight. So, there's a bunch of self-mill in the format already. I think this one's interesting because you can get artifacts as well. So, one combo I had in mind was Active as a Soul Cauldron with Arcanus, and you can start tapping creatures to draw 3 cards. What's also interesting, besides life gain, it's also attached to a permanent. So you can use this with self-bounce like Fear of Isolation, or This Town Ain't Big Enough, or you can bring it back as a permanent. So Deadly Brew, if you're familiar with that card. A lot of room to experiment with it. Okay, next card. Monument to Endurance. This is a build around me card. It's got 3 powerful effects. Draw a card, create a treasure token, and losing 3 life. And, I've seen it in action from previews. You play this, you play Ill-Timed Explosion, wipe the field, and, this starts to gain advantage from that. But, no, I think it has potential. Spell Pierce is back. And, it's a simple card. You pay blue, You tax your opponent for the spell to cast, they can't pay it, it gets countered. It's going to fit in a lot of decks, whether you're on the offense trying to protect your creature, or on the defense trying to protect your spells. Now, first deck I think of, put it in Heist. It has some room there, but I think it's going to get a lot of play. Next card. Verges. So, lands, you can't play spells without lands unless you're in some much older format, but I think of the Verges, Bleachbone Verge is going to have the most impact just because there's a lot of strong black and white decks already, namely like bats, black white tokens, and enchantment creature tribal. But I'll see. Lands are always good, but I don't know if the other Verges will be as popular. Alright, final card. Intimidation Tactics. Oh, wow. So, Found Port Charmer is one of the strongest creatures in the format right now, and it gets its power from coming into play. What if you can answer that before it comes into play? And that's what Intimidation Tactics does. I think this card's very strong. It's even main boardable because if you have no reason to cast it, then it also cycles. And not only does it remove the card from the opponent's hand, it exiles it. So there is no revival shenanigans. So that's my top pick of the cards. With that said, Aetherdrift as a whole, I'm not too big on the starter engines mechanic because I'd say right now Alchemy is a very fast format. Whether it be fast in terms of aggro, like you're trying to kill the opponent as fast as possible, or you have a one-turn kill. So, for example, Terror of the Peaks and Calamity, that's a one-turn kill. So, I guess just wait and see if the format slows down. I mean, there's Spell Pierce. That's a good slowdown card. Intimidation Tactics, that's also a good slowdown card. So, maybe, right? It just depends on what gets popular. Exhaust, it's basically a one-time activated ability. I haven't seen a card that impressed me with Exhaust yet, so maybe the Gas Guzzler, the 2/1, that can sacrifice creatures once you get it. Your max speed, but again, not too many that come into mind. So, now I'd say I covered well, 1 to 2 without yapping. Let me go to the outro. Uh-oh. Okay, so I'll have to record the outro separately. 1 second. Okay, so sorry about the technical difficulties. If you did enjoy the content, you can find me on X under the username Cardboard.Capitan, Moxfield, where I'll post a lot of decks, mainly Alchemy, but I'm also participating in the historic qualifier weekend, so I'll have my list once the event resolves for that. And, if you enjoyed the content, do like, do comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time.